here is that planning ahead is rewarded. Okay. If you plan ahead, if you do the good things like you've been doing your whole life, just keep that up. There's nothing the matter with that. We love it. Okay. Um, but don't fall into the trap of thinking, I just have to do this. See, the word just, Just, the word just is a very dangerous word. And it's a dangerous word because people think, well, if I just do this, right? I just do that, and then everything will be fine. And I wish it worked that way, but it doesn't. Okay. When it comes to this stuff, you don't get the best results. Okay. You don't get the best results. Just this, just that. It has to be a comprehensive kind of approach. I hope that makes sense. I mean, that's what I've been trying to say right along. It's the fact of the matter is, if you do things correctly, okay, then you get the benefits. If you don't do things correctly, then you don't get the benefits. That's how it is. There's no real mystery about that. I mean, I think your whole life has been that way. And one of the things that we've gone to now, in order to make sure that more people do it the right way. Okay, we still do one-on-one, but we're pioneering a new approach. We call it the Red Wagon Club. You put your stuff in your red wagon, and now you're good to go. And that's really kind of that's the idea. But what we've changed is not what we're doing. We haven't changed that at all. We're still doing the same thing. We're still doing asset protection. We're still doing long-term care protection. Still making sure your trusts are funded, which is the number one cause of failure. I mean, people think they're doing they do the wrong thing, okay, but it doesn't even work on its own terms doing the wrong thing, wrong idea, because the trusts aren't funded. Well, we're not backing off on that. We're still doing all of that. But the key is, rather than doing everything on a one-on-one basis, and we still do that if you want to. We still do that. But what we found was we can deliver the correct services at much less cost if we keep a workshop model. So you come to the first workshop, okay? You come to the workshop. Then, if you decide to move ahead, which practically everybody does, you come to the next workshop, and it's at the next workshop that you decide. You go through the plan, right? And you get a lot more attorney time. Now, you're sharing it with other families. That's true. There's other people just like you in the room, but you're asking questions and all the rest, and you're writing down your stuff. So we maintain confidentiality that way. But when we do it like that, right, where we're, one step at a time, but in a group setting, it's much less expensive. And one of the things that I didn't really expect it, but what we have a lot of people saying is, because other people ask questions, right? And you ever had it happen where you think, ooh, I wish I had asked that question, but you think of it on the way home. When we do the workshop model, as we're doing now, other people will ask that question that you would have thought of on the way home. Okay. So what we're finding is people really are getting into it a lot more. They're really understanding it better than otherwise. We try to be thorough, but it's always good to have somebody asking a question, because what we think is thorough, somebody may not really understand what we're saying, or may want some more information about it. And so that has been a really helpful thing. So when you come to the workshop now, instead of, it has to be one-on-one. Instead, you also have this opportunity to go one step at a time, go from workshop to workshop. Now, there still is one-on-one meetings. That happens because we need to go one-on-one with what are the implications of your plan. There's still that. You have to have that. But whatever we could do and maintain confidentiality, maintain effectiveness, but if we could do it in a group setting, we're doing it in a group setting. but because that way we're not, we don't have any issue with, or we have much less issue with expense. We were able to cut the fee by more than half when we do it the new way. But that's your choice. Depends on how you want to do it. But I think it's really important to me that we never back off on what are we doing here? Okay. What is the purpose of all of this? The purpose is to make sure that the people who worked and saved and did the good things, right? That what you've accomplished, whether we're talking about Matt in the first hour with a family cottage, how do we make sure that becomes a resource throughout the generations? Okay. Most of the time it isn't. Most of the time frequently it becomes a bone of contention. And then it's like, oh, screw it, just sell it. Now you get people not talking to each other anymore. It's terrible. I've seen that happen over and over again. Okay. But we don't want that. So there are things that can be done so that, number one, we don't lose it to the nursing home. Number two, we encourage more of the family feeling and, we're all in this together sort of thing. That's all doable. Or we talk about Carol's mom who's looking at long-term care, right? Before you sign the contract, there's things that should be addressed. You should always, don't sign a contract don't give up your house without having somebody read the contract. There's stuff in there that's not obvious. There's a lot of this stuff is not obvious. And when you, as we have, people remember what somebody else did and they think that that's going to work fine for them. My suggestion is come to a free workshop. It doesn't cost you anything. We call them the 3 Secrets Workshop. Here's the 3 secrets that people don't talk about. We talk about them. We'll give you the tools to make a decision.